I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Thursday.
Is that snow? No. I'm being lazy. I don't want to shovel.
I think we're definitely of the age, Bill, where we go, a little moisture's good. A little moisture's good.
Yes,
That's the dad phrase, right?
It is
a little
moisture's
good.
Farmers need the water.
Yeah, that's right. Rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey.
Yes, it does.
Whiskey makes my baby a little frisky. All right.
And whiskey makes the day better.
Today's the National Western Stock Show Parade. I'm going to be heading down. So if you're heading down there, it's at noon downtown. Come find me. Would love to see you. And we'll hang out.
Yeah, look for the coolest cowboy hat in the entire crowd, and you'll find Jeff.
I'll be down there. Let's go back to Gary and Aurora, and then we're going to talk with Sean Pond here coming up. But Gary, you mentioned you've been in law enforcement. You've had people try to hit you with your car. Give us a little bit of your story again.
Yeah, continue.
Yes, sir. You know, I really enjoy your show. This is a very difficult topic. I want everyone to understand what goes through your mind when this happens to you. Once as a law enforcement officer, once as a cop, once as in security, I've twice had people try to kill me using their vehicle. It's unequivocal. There's no doubt. There's no argument. They were trying to end me, okay? I want to put people in my head. This happened 25, 30 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. This is probably going to be loud. Put your finger on the button. I'll try not to cuss.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I want people to understand how this goes, okay? Understand there's a half a second, a second and a half to make a decision. If you make the wrong decision, you will die. Do you understand? You will die. Here it goes. Ready? Here we go. This is what goes through your head. My kids! Shoot him! If I shoot him, he's going to run me over. Jump! That's how it goes. That's how it went in my situations.
That's got to be scary, man. That's got to be really scary.
Guarantee I would have been exonerated if I shot both of these people. I cannot articulate this as fast as it goes through your head. It goes through your brain at light speed. Quantum physics, I don't understand. It is faster. I can't speak it as fast as it happens in your head.
Now, Gary, let me tell you this. Let me share you this
with
you.
No time to make a decision. Yeah. By the way, if you make the wrong decision, you're dead.
Yeah. And
your wife is husbandless.
Oh, absolutely. And the other
Children
part is
are fatherless.
And the other part is if you make the wrong decision on the other end, someone that may have been innocent or may not have been necessarily, a danger ends up dead. So there is a horrible decision in which it is a lose-lose decision at that point. And here's the reason, Gary, I got to share this with you. That what you outlined right there is probably one of the single largest reasons I, Bill Thorpe, would never be qualified to put on a uniform or a badge. Could I probably pass the test? Yeah, sure. But I'm not qualified because I'm worried about making that decision in that time. I personally do not want to be placed in that position. I have so much respect for every man and woman that puts on the badge because they know they are taking that sort of responsibility into their hands every day. It is a monumental responsibility that so many of us can't even grasp, and I definitely am not qualified to make that decision. I know that about myself.
Gary, very powerful. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you.
It helps. Can I make a couple more comments, if I may?
Very quickly, yep.
And I'll be brief. One, if you make the wrong decision, you're dead. Your kids don't have a father. Your wife doesn't have a husband. That's where I was. I'll tell you the decision I made. I didn't shoot in either case.
Wow. That must have been hard.
I chose not. But listen, on one of them, I definitely would have been run over if I would have taken the time to shoot. A second and a half it would have taken me to shoot him. Guaranteed it would have been justified. He would have run me over with the stolen car.
Wow.
It would have been done.
So do you blame the officer, or do you think the officer should be prosecuted?
Oh, here's why. I've watched two versions of that video. I've watched two angles. In one angle, he was definitely struck by the vehicle.
Yes. In fact,
Police
Adam in our video department
serious
showed
bodily
that.
injury. End of story. Justified shooting. I'm sorry she chose to make that decision. It's too bad.
Gary, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Gary.
We've got Sean Pond coming up,
Gary.
I guess. Montrose County Commissioner running to challenge John Hickenlooper for the U.S. Senate seat. You're not going to want to miss this interview right after the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It is Thursday, 35 with some snowflakes in the city, expecting a high of 42 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story. Mostly paid protesters hitting the streets again in Minneapolis after an ICE agent shot and killed a woman from Colorado Springs during an enforcement operation. A federal agent opened fire on Renee Nicole Good.
I cannot confirm for sure.
And that is not, let me see.
This time, whether it's...
Yeah, I don't have the right audio there, but... Maggie Vespa from NBC reported on the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said the woman refused commands to get out of her vehicle and tried to harm the officer with the car. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz saying on X, quote, "Don't believe this propaganda machine." Yeah, he knows all about propaganda. He spent half his life in China. But just looking at the video, she punched it, and the police officer is in front of the car. There's ice, and there's other, and I mean like ice, like snow and ice. And it was an extremely dangerous situation for everyone involved, and she is punching the gas pedal. Could have killed him and other people right in the area, other cars. Absolutely. So Barney, of course, you know what? He has great advice.
Keep your mouth shut when it comes to the cops. Even if you think that you can whoop that cop's butt, it's irrelevant. Keep your mouth shut. Do what they tell you. May not be right, may suck, but by God, this has been brewing. This has been brewing for a long time.
The Senate will vote soon on a resolution that would block 47 from taking further action in Venezuela without congressional approval. The bipartisan War Powers resolution is sponsored by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Virginia Democrat Tim Kaine, California Democrat, corruptocrat, that is Adam Schiff, and Kentucky Republican Rand Paul. The measure only needs a simple majority to pass. Venezuelan officials say 100 people were killed in the raid that captured Nicolas Maduro a few days ago. A manhunt is ongoing for the person or persons who killed 2 people and injured 6 others outside a church in Salt Lake. Police say a funeral was taking place at an LDS church Wednesday when the altercation broke out in the parking lot and shots were fired at a group of people. The names of the victims and motive for the shooting have not been released. The administration is preparing to meet with officials in Denmark about acquiring Greenland. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Wednesday that he will meet with Danish officials next week to discuss the situation. Mike McDaniel, Greeley native, fired as head coach of the Miami Dolphins this morning. Couldn't get it done. The Cinderella story ends for the former Smoky Hill and Colorado native who worked with the Broncos, and I actually did his first television interview when he was in high school.
No
Unfortunately,
way.
Yes.
Oh,
I didn't. You don't know that story?
No,
Let me
that is
tell you
awesome.
real quickly. I think you'll enjoy
real
it.
quick. Got a guest coming up. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Real quickly. Guy from the Broncos, Gary McCune, assistant video director, tells me about this great story when I was covering the Broncos. So I sat down his stepson and he wanted to tell me how he met him. Well, he met him because he would come to Broncos training camp in Greeley at UNC and would ride his bike there every day. He lost his hat. He was among the thousands of fans in attendance. He was crying. Gary saw this little boy and where are his parents? Don't know what's wrong, son. Can I help you? Everything okay? I lost my hat. He lost a Charlotte Hornets hat. He goes to the Greeley Mall, gets the hat, gives him the hat the next day, says, hey, bring your family to practice. You can be right by John Elway. He brings his family. His only family that he brought was his mom. Gary falls in love with his mom, who was single. They get married. They live happily ever after. They move to Aurora, and Mike becomes a ball boy for the Broncos, NFL ball boy. And it was like a dream come true. He went to Smoky Hill High School, went to Yale, and then 25 years later, I'm driving and I hear Mike McDaniel named the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I'm like, Mike McDaniel? You mean Mike McDaniel, the ball boy? So that was the Cinderella story, and today he lost his job as a head coach.
Oh, it's a great story, and that sucks.
Stephen Tubbs did a great job telling this story about 3 years ago when Mike got the job. So now he loses his opportunity, but who knows? He may become a head coach again in the future. He'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere, I'm sure, in the next few years. 31 in Castle Pines, 33 in Louisville, 35 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill on Thursday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Much colder and actually going to feel a little bit like winter for a change. Temperatures are going to be down just into the mid to upper 30s today, and that happens early. Lower 20s tonight and only low 30s for highs tomorrow. A storm system coming in, a little fragmented, will produce some light snow today and tonight into Friday morning. Denver could see an inch or two. Snow will be heavier in the foothills and mountains and to the south of Denver, where the storm system will track a little bit closer. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's been a wild day. We love it. It's why this is Denver's top talk radio show. Not only are you engaged, the debate all 3 hours over Minnesota, we also bring on the top political figures in Colorado. Give us a sense of how races are going, how things might change. Sean Pond challenging John Hickenlooper for the U.S. Senate seat. He currently serves as a county commissioner for Montrose County and well-known online, a great analyst, well-spoken, writes well, and now willing to throw in his hat to take on John Hickenlooper. He joins us this morning. Good morning, Sean. Thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. Thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure to meet you both.
Let's introduce you to our listeners. Give folks a sense of your background, what you're doing in Montrose County.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a fifth-generation Colorado native. I'm a United States Navy veteran. I'm a father of 5 and a grandfather of 8. I guess I should say 7 and another one on the way. I have just a normal guy, a common man that grew up here in Colorado that tried to make a living. I've been somebody who's made a life for myself because Colorado gave someone like me an opportunity to create a life for my family and myself. And then here I am later in life, and I became, I guess, an activist of sorts. I had the federal government come here to our small community in the west end of Montrose County and with federal overreach. And I'm simply a citizen who stood up and said, no, I don't think we'll do that today. And that simple act of standing up to the federal government landed me in a government role as a county commissioner in Montrose. And I've been in that seat for just under a year and feel like I've done a great job in representing the conservative values of Montrose County. And I would say that so those fights that led me into a political life and political view, the fights just got larger. I realize now after dealing with the decisions of the federal government landing in my lap here in Montrose County, Colorado, the fight that needs to be fought today is at the national level.
That's Sean Pond. He's a current county commissioner in Montrose County. He's running for U.S. Senate, challenging John Hickenlooper. You're facing a Republican primary first. We'll start there, then we'll get into John. We had Mark Baisley on earlier this week. I think, goodness, what a week. Monday, he joined us. He's running in the same race. Why are you better to challenge John Hickenlooper than Mark Baisley?
I'm not going to say that I'm better than Mark or any other Republican that would come into this primary, because we're all the same team. We're all Republicans. We all have the same goals, and that's to make Colorado a better place to live. So I don't know Mark, never met him, although we have chatted back and forth a few times on social media. I have the utmost respect for he or any other candidate that's willing to put their name in and step up to serve the people, because I definitely understand the cost of public service. But what I would do different and bring to the table is I'm not a career politician. I don't even consider myself to be a politician. I'm just a common man that relates to the everyday consequences that the federal government passes down to our local municipalities. I mean, I've had to live through that my entire life. So I guess what I would bring is I'm an outsider. I'm not somebody in the government machine. I would answer to the people directly, not party insiders, and definitely not Washington insiders.
That is Sean Pond, who's running in the primary to try to unseat Hickenlooper, the U.S. Senate seat. And what I want to ask you, Sean, is in addition to the idea of you not being a politician, what other characteristics, positions, or policies contained inside of your campaign separates you from the Republicans, the other Republicans in the race? What about your campaign makes you different than the other people running for the voters to choose you?
Well, I'll touch on one of the things that made me and my wife make the decision to step into this arena was every time we heard a campaign or a politician talk about why they wanted to be whatever seat they were running for, whether it be the United States Senate or the governor's race, which is incredibly crowded right now, I heard them talk about themselves. I heard them talk about their resume, their qualifications, what they're best suited for. But I didn't hear any of them talking about the people, the concerns of the everyday Coloradoan, the cost of living, energy, the disappearing opportunity for people to live the American dream. And I just felt that it was time for somebody to go out and actually listen face to face to not just Republicans, but Democrats, unaffiliated, the everyday person on the street, what keeps them up at night. And that'll be the focus of this campaign going forward is what's broken and what can we do at the federal level to fix it to make your life easier.
That's Sean Pond. He's running to challenge John Hickenlooper. Let's pivot now and talk good old Johnny Hickenlooper. The dude's been in office for well over 20 years now. He served first as mayor, full 2 terms there, then as governor, full 2 terms. Now he's running for a second term, I think, as U.S. Senate. That's right, because he unseated Cory Gardner. So in many ways, John Hickenlooper's Colorado political royalty. He hasn't lost anything. What does John Hickenlooper do wrong? Why does he deserve to be shown the door?
He stopped listening to the people. I think when, at the time, John Hickenlooper was a small business owner in downtown Denver, and he stepped up to run for mayor, I believe that even as a Democrat, he had the best of intentions, and he listened to the people of downtown Denver. But he's become a career politician. When he transferred into the governor's mansion, that's when things started to really go bad. And when you look at, in my opinion, almost everything that has taken Colorado from a profitable state full of opportunity, a representation of all people, of all walks of life, it has 3 commonalities over the last couple of decades, and that's the names of John Hickenlooper, Michael Bennett, and Jared Polis. And again, that was a decision that I made having to deal with Senator John Hickenlooper on some of these federal land designations here in the wide open western Colorado. Was he came here to my hometown at an event, a listening session, and I stood in front of him at a microphone, and I witnessed 500 people stand in front of him and tell them why they opposed this crushing land designation that was on the table at the time. And then I watched him leave that room with absolutely no support, all opposition, and issue a public statement of support. That was a pivotal moment in my understanding of what's broken when we have elected leaders that aren't listening to the people, that aren't interacting with them, that stop caring, that's when I knew something needed to change. And there's a common problem there in all of our political leadership, and unfortunately, the one-party rule that all Coloradoans are faced to live under right now. So it's an important part of the decision to understand. I always ask people to look at the last 20 years and how's Colorado doing? Because it's not the state that I grew up in. The opportunities that gave a young man like me from low-income homes growing up to make a life for myself are disappearing daily. So are the people in Denver or Washington, D.C., are they actually listening to you? And I can tell you that John Hickenlooper's not. He's part of what's broken and part of what needs fixed.
Well, I agree with you entirely. I think he's just a special interest delivery bag boy. He hasn't done much for the people of Denver. He hasn't done anything for the people of Colorado as governor or senator. And yet people still put him into office. Help me understand this dynamic and how you speak into this. Because I talk to Democrats probably more than any other Republican in Colorado. I go to their protests. I interview them there. Bernie Sanders, 30,000 people in downtown Denver. AOC is the most lauded and respected political figure by voters in Colorado, according to Magellan Strategies. And yet they complain about the direction of the state. They don't like it. They complain about it being so expensive. And yet every time when it comes to a ballot, they continue to check the Democrat box. Why is that? And how do you speak into that?
Yeah, it's part of what's broken in Colorado. It's not all the politicians, it's also partly the media. But if you look at the biased media, not just in Colorado, but across the country, and you look at the politicians that feed into that, you've got politicians like John Hickenlooper backed by the media that even on their social media posts, they're always driving a wedge in between the people. They always have some way of fueling up and getting people to rise up against each other. And it's got to stop. At the end of the day, no matter which side of the aisle you sit on, which party you typically vote with, it's time to start listening to each other. We're not always going to agree, but we all have to live in the same state and on the same planet. And if we can make them stop dividing us and stand together and realize we have one thing in common. We all love Colorado. We all want the best for the state. We all want a state that's affordable to live in. We want a state that our children can afford to buy a home in. We need to recreate the American dream here. And people like John Hickenlooper and his counterparts and the media, they're part of the problem. So part of this campaign is going to be able to get people to talk to each other, to understand that we won't always agree, but we don't have to hate each other. We can work together to make Colorado a better, more affordable, and safe place to live for all of us.
That's Sean Pond. He is a Republican candidate that is in the primary to take on John Hickenlooper in his seat. This could be a wonderful fight, Sean. A question I've got for you is looking at Colorado's Senate representation. What do you think that Hickenlooper has gotten wrong by representing Colorado nationally? What is something that you think you can do better or differently than Hickenlooper at the national level inside of Congress that would directly benefit the voters in Colorado?
Yeah, so I'm trying to be, I guess, kind if I can, but in my personal opinion,
we don't want to make this into a campaign ad for Hicker. It could be a campaign ad for you.
Yeah,
we'll try.
Sure.
Yeah, so tread carefully. Yeah,
I don't agree with Senator Hickenlooper's policy mostly across the board. You know, as a United States senator or a representative in our congressional house, either way, they have one job. They vote on legislation, and they should be asking themselves one simple question. Does this piece of legislation make life better for the people I serve, or does it make it harder? And I feel like John Hickenlooper and some other members of his colleagues in the Senate, they vote along party lines. They vote to appease their lobbyists. They vote to appease the Washington insiders. They've stopped listening to the people, or maybe they forgot what it's like to live out here with us and just be an everyday citizen. The worries that we have isn't most people out there don't even worry about what's happening in D.C. They worry about, can they put gas in their car? Can they afford groceries? what's going to happen with federal policy that affects my life? And federal policy, these bills that are packed into these huge pieces of bipartisan legislation, every one of those affects all of us, real people, real everyday Coloradoans. So I think that what I would do different is to make sure I read them thoroughly. I have a problem doing that. I'm a little bit of a control freak. I read a lot. I don't sleep much. And to clearly understand, is my vote today going to make everyday Coloradoans' lives better, or is it going to hurt them? And if it's going to hurt them at all, I'll be the man that blocks that legislation. I'll make sure that every single day we're doing things the best of my ability to make everyday people's lives better.
Sean Pond running to challenge John Hickenlooper joins us. His website, by the way, SeanPond.com. That's SeanPond, as in dog.com, SeanPond.com. Sean, I'm scrolling through John Hickenlooper's social media feed right now. It's all Trump this, Trump that, Trump. He's obsessed with Trump. But I think there's a political calculation there. He thinks that this is Trump's 6th year in the presidency, that this is going to be a backlash campaign that's going to put Democrats back into office. In fact, he's got countdown 300 days until we win this election and flip the House and the Senate. John Hickenlooper betting everything on just being anti-Trump. Do you think that's a wrong strategy? Do you support President Trump? Are you going to run a different campaign than just yes Trump versus no Trump? Your response, sir.
Yeah, I definitely support our president. I think he's done some amazing things to expose corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse within the federal government. I think he's doing some fantastic pieces of work to be transparent and work with the people. That said, he's not perfect. None of us are. And I think that it's a mistake for the senator to be putting himself you're right, everything he posts out there is anti-Trump. And to me, that's almost a little bit anti-American, because whether he likes it or not, President Trump is the duly elected president. His job is to serve us. The people voted for him, and I believe that whether you agree with him or not on all issues, you should support him. I also believe that Coloradoans are tired of the political noise from both parties. I believe they're sick and tired of everybody fighting. I think they're sick and tired of watching the division even within the Republican Party. I think that the largest voting bloc, the unaffiliated, although in the past I wondered why they didn't pick a side, I now understand that they're not the problem. They're the answer. They're the people that are tired of the bickering, the fighting, the mudslinging, the anti-anything. They want the government to serve them. They don't want to listen to who they should follow. So I do believe it's a mistake. I believe that any candidate that's running should be listening to the people, should be serving the people, and putting the best interests of Coloradoans and our country at the forethought of every conversation, every post.
That's Sean Pond running to challenge John Hickenlooper. So have you launched enough to introduce any of your fundraising numbers, or are those still so new you got in the race recently that we'll get those next quarter?
Yeah, that's correct. We actually just launched on Sunday. It took us a while behind the scenes to put a very good campaign team together, and we just launched actually our donation page with WinRed just came up yesterday afternoon. So we're just starting. We're my wife and I, we're not politicians. We've never ran for anything, and we're brand new to this game. So we're trying to surround ourselves with professionals that can help us reach the people, get out there and get us in front. We have a very short time frame to travel 64 counties. I've been to most of them in the last couple of months talking about land and liberty, but not actually campaigning. So I'm looking forward to coming out there, shaking people's hands, and most importantly, listening. The question I'll be asking people on this campaign is, what's broken? What can we do to fix it? What can we do to make your lives better? That's the question. That's the part of the campaign I think is missing, and the part that we're going to put at the front of every stop we make.
How do you compete with John Hickenlooper's money? His Q3 fundraising, $1.7 million, cash on hand, $3.6 million. At least that's what, who knows, ChatGPT is telling me. But is it something that you can compete with? Can you get to that level? Is it worth investing in your race when there's so much money, particularly outside money, that comes in to help John Hickenlooper?
Yeah, I absolutely believe there is. I believe when people hear the message, people are always asking me every day, hundreds of messages and calls, what can we do to help? How can we get involved? And that's simple. One, you've got to register to vote. You've got to show up to vote. Secondly, you, the people, can have a huge impact on changing the future of Colorado by simply making small grassroots donations. If there's, I believe, 6.3 million people in the state of Colorado, probably 4 million of registered age to vote. Imagine if we got grassroots representation and we could somehow convince 1 million people to care enough about the future of Colorado to send a $20 donation. That simple act of spreading the word, that simple act of citizen involvement, of showing the government that you care and you're involved, that's how we become a serious contender. That's how we send a voice to Senator Hickenlooper and to Washington, D.C., that we're serious and we're here to give the people of Colorado a voice once again.
Sean Pond, Montrose County Commissioner, now challenging John Hickenlooper. Sean, you've been great to talk to today. I appreciate your time out there. And people should follow you on social media as well, because you do a great job discussing kind of America's founding principles. I want to say you're not just an elected official, but you're a bit of a philosopher king. And I appreciate, I can tell you read a lot because you want to remind people of those core principles about what this country was founded on, why this state at one point was a great state to live in and has kind of fallen apart. You're not just out there with tweets like me, just one-liners. You actually provide some good in-depth analysis. Tell people why that's important, why you're kind of motivated to not just win elections, but help educate people on our founding principles.
Yeah, so you have to remember that, again, I'm not a politician. I don't come from polished background, or I never had a name. I'm just a normal, everyday citizen that stood up to the federal government and found myself in a position of public service. And in doing so, I knew that I needed to understand more than just love of country. So I immersed myself in obviously I've read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So I spent a lot of time reading the Federalist Papers and understanding our founding fathers, the framers of this country, so I could clearly decide and understand the challenges that they faced in the early days of the colonists and how they translate to who we are now and what we've become. And I'm actually I was astounded to find out that we're not that much different, to be honest with you. The challenges we face today within political beliefs and ideologies, they still exist with us today. And most people don't understand that. They watch the news, they watch social media accounts, they listen to elected leaders, and they fuel the divide. And when you break it all down and understand that our founding fathers put a constitution in place in this great country, this experiment, and ratified it with a Bill of Rights because they knew that we would all never agree on anything, that we would have to find a way to live in harmony together as best we could with a common understanding of how governance works. And they view the government as a necessary evil. And that's still where we are today. And I'll use Colorado as a prime example of where we've let it go too far one way. Even if you're a Democrat and you praise the Democratic leadership of Colorado, you have to realize that you're feeling the negative impacts of county level, state level, and federal level policies. We live in a state right now of one-party rule, and that's not a constitutional balance. That means that we don't have equal and fair representation at the state level. And I'm hoping with this Senate run that when I take my seat in the U.S. Senate, I'll start that pendulum shift back in Colorado and maybe motivate some good freedom-loving Americans that want to enjoy the sweet taste of liberty to step up and run for city council or chamber of commerce or some of these congressional house districts that we need to change the fundamental belief in Colorado that one-party tyranny is best for any of us. It's not. We need to restore a constitutional balance in Colorado, and I'm happy and proud to be a part of that movement and spread that word. It's good for all of us.
Amen to that. Sean Pond, Montrose County Commissioner, running to unseat John Hickenlooper. He's running for the Republican nomination. He's going to be facing off with Mark Baisley, Colorado State Senator, and a few others. But Sean, I find your writings to be brilliant. I love what you put out there. Continue to do that. And I sure appreciate you taking time to join the show this morning.
Yes,
thank you so much.
No, thank you very much again for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I follow your show and quite honored to be on. So thanks again, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Learn
more about Sean Pond at SeanPond, POND.com. SeanPond, POND.com. All right, phone line still full from the discussion regarding the Minnesota shooting. We'll get back to that next. Let's talk first advanced hair restoration. How about a simple New Year's resolution? One that even I could achieve. Reverse the clock on hair loss with Advanced Hair's simple one-day FUE treatment. You'll feel more confident and more youthful when you witness your own natural hair growing into those places that have been balding or thinning for years. From Advanced Hair's breakthrough technology to their highly experienced team, there's no one I trust more in hair restoration. Their simple FUE treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. Simply put, Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care makes your comfort and your results their top priority. Celebrate the new year with a fuller head of hair. Come on, guys. Turn your life around. Get that energy back and get a free consultation. $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. 720-459-HAIR. Discover what meeting your resolution could look like with the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. Man, those pictures look good. Those are like totally different guys.
Oh, yeah.
Advancedhair.com.
It's incredible. In fact, the first time I looked at it, I was like, they photoshopped that crap? And you're like, no, that's actually legit. Yeah, it's incredible.
That is legit. Advancedhair.com.
Yeah, it's the closest that you're going to get to like a time machine.
Yeah, right?
It's the closest you're going to get.
Well, I've had pretty much every male in my life have hair done, and it brings back a youthfulness and an energy that affects every relationship in their life. Their work relationships, their romantic.
It does, because you look in the mirror and you think, what the hell happened here? When did this happen?
I had family members go bald at 18.
Oh, no. Oh, that's awful.
Imagine that.
Oh, my God.
You don't want that to happen.
No, that's horrible.
Get it fixed.
Yeah.
All right, we'll continue. Sean, you're up next. Sean from Denver. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
I think I could use a Matt Foley bobblehead up there on the screen. I got the Pope. I've got Teddy.
You got to have the Pope has got to sit right next to Matt Foley if we do it, just because the irony of that would be hilarious.
I've got Elon Musk doing his jump, but his little belly button isn't showing. So
I know.
We got DJT twice.
Well, you know why they can't show his belly button is because, as Candace Owens said, he's a robot from space. So there is no belly button.
That's right.
Yeah, it's all fake. It's all
let's
fake.
go to the phone line. Sean in Denver. Good morning, Sean. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? What's on your mind, man?
So when I called in and talked to you, I was thinking about something different. But after hearing Sean, first off, he spells his name wrong. It's supposed to be S-H-A-U-N, not S-E-A-N.
Sean, on a side note, I have always wanted to have some sort of a comedy sketch where that happens. Like you get the Seans together and there's some sort of like gang where it's like you're spelling it wrong, like the Anchorman thing where they all come together and they fight over how it's supposed to be spelled.
Stevens can do the same thing.
Exactly. And then there's someone that has that really weird spelling that has like a J and 3 M's and they come in and they're like the wild card in the group. But okay, sorry, continue.
Oh, my favorite. Sorry, I'm going off on my favorite baseball player was Sean Dunston, and he spelled his name really wrong for Chicago Cubs shortstop. I had originally called in to talk about the gun issues and to say that I have witnessed somebody killed, and it sucks to have that.
Sorry.
I listened to Sean's commentary, and I just want to say I grew up here. I was born here. I have been liberal. I'm very pragmatic, and I hate when people say a one party government. I have fought for liberal rights, for gay rights, for everything my entire life, but I don't disrespect you, Jeff. I disagree with everything you say, but I don't disrespect you.
Thanks for taking the time to call in, Sean. I get it. Now, I want to go just for a second when you talk about the idea of one-party government. I think that personally that comes from the belief and sometime life experience of, okay, I put a Democrat in charge and my life is doing this. I put a Republican in charge and my life is still doing this. That functionally there are a lot of voters out there that see very little change in the prospects in their life despite who is in charge. I think that's where that comes from, but please continue.
So yes, that's actually. So I grew up here when it was Republican controlled. The entire state was Republican controlled, and I fought to make it more liberal, and we succeeded. And I don't discount the Republicans' ideas. I listen to them. It's just like when I hear that one-party control, that just makes us feel like enemies, and I don't want to be enemies.
Yeah, I don't think it's about enemies. From my perspective, though, what happens, though, when you have total dominant control is you open the door for a lot more corruption and fraud because who do they have to worry about, right? Maybe a primary, but the Republicans are never going to win anyway, so let's just drink at the state capitol. Sean, I appreciate the call. It was fun. I wish we could talk more.
Yeah, and I hope
We're
you
just
call
up
back
against
again.
the break. Please do. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy, in light of the shooting in Minnesota, you think we're going to see riots?
Oh, that's a difficult question. My honest answer is I hope not. But I think because it is Minnesota, there is a likelihood because, again, that's where George Floyd and the protests grew out of. And that was the home of some of the most violent protests last time around. I'm worried that because of what happened 5 years ago, that this is going to be another powder keg. And so I'm worried. I am cautiously optimistic that rioters will understand that once you start doing stuff like that, you become the story and the original story falls to the wayside, because the narrative during the George Floyd protests became, oh my God, look at these awful rioters, and the original incident was left behind. So that I'm hoping they learned that lesson. I'm cautiously optimistic. You?
I think Democrats want the riots. I think they see it as beneficial to their political aspirations to show that Donald Trump isn't in control and look at all these problems that he has created, even though he hasn't. They want that. They did it in 2020. They'll try to utilize this.
And using it as an idea, look how angry the American people are. You might have something
there. I think that they unfortunately use it as their shock troops. So we'll see what happens. The debate will continue tomorrow. Thank you to everybody. You've been listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Can't we all just get along?
I'm going to go down to the stock show parade, by the way.
Yeah, check out Jeff on the social media. He's going to be at the parade. Go see him. This is KNUS. We'll see you tomorrow.